stress and body composition. But before we go into that, I want to ask you a small question. How much do you guys think it's the total weight of this phone? Take a guess. Take a wild guess.
Like 300 grams, 250 grams, uh, maybe a little bit more.
It's
100
an
That's
iPhone.
grams.
my guess.
How
Like
much, Hector?
250 grams
All
with the
right,
case.
here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. If I hold it for a minute, it won't feel as heavy. If I hold it for an hour, maybe my arm will start to get numb. If I hold it for a day, my arm will be completely shattered. What this showcases is that when you start to hold someone to something for long, you get totally incapacitated. At times, we get stress from multiple factors. But when you hold that stress throughout the whole day and always and constantly think about it, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be totally incapacitated to take action and actually execute to resolve that issue at hand. So, what I want to teach you guys with this, especially in this moment of uncertainty, of how you guys might be worried, am I gonna get replaced by AI? Am I not gonna get replaced by AI? Am I gonna able to find projects, jobs, whatever you call it? When you give to that weight your whole day's thinking, you're gonna be impaired to execute. Therefore, what is the best way to handle with that? How can you guys deal with it? Well, let me illustrate you guys a little bit. That stress that you have isn't just mental, isn't just you thinking about it. It's physical, and it accumulates in your body as you hold it throughout the day. That's called chronic cortisol, the hormone that spikes when you're stressed. The belly fat that won't budge. That's also another indicator when you're trying to lose belly fat and it doesn't budge at all, it doesn't move. Also, the energy that never comes back. You feel like you're drained at 1, 2 p.m. tops. That's physical stress. And here's the thing, the cortisol is not your enemy. It's not that that's this stuff that you should, avoid at all costs. The problem isn't really the cortisol, it's cortisol that never comes down. Having your cortisol is something positive. It usually peaks in the morning, it drops at night. It gives you energy and focus to work, to execute, to do your proposals, to share your conversations, to have your interviews, everything. It mobilizes fat for energy. It protects the immune system that you have. It improves short term memory too. The chronic cortisol, when it never comes down, when it's always elevated and never resets, that's when the body is stuck in emergency mode, in that fight or flight mode that we have. That's when the belly fat gets stored. That's when the muscle destruction, the catabolism happens. And that also blocks thyroid and metabolism. So, the chronic stress executive profile that we see with this. Let's see if you can recognize yourself. Are you tired but can't switch off? Like you're wired but tired at the same time. Your nervous system just doesn't know how to reset. Maybe the afternoon brain fog that you feel, that's your blood sugar crash, plus your cortisol. And that sums up to a compromised cognitive performance. You don't perform as you otherwise could. The muscle mass that won't improve whenever you exercise and you don't see any change, that's cortisol inhibits it, inhibits protein synthesis, and muscles simply just can't grow. You stay the same, you don't see progress. The belly fat that doesn't respond whenever you go to the gym and you exercise and everything, and you don't look at your cortisol levels and how you handle stress, well, you're eating well, you're training good, but nothing happens. It's the cortisol, not the calories. Now, the cravings. Whenever you have this constant cravings for sugar, for carbs, for ice cream, McDonald's, you name it, the brain seeks quick energy, quick dopamine when the stress is chronic. Whenever you're not stressed and you're actually regulated, you have less anxiety and you feel less cravings for that food. Now, the persistent inflammation, that's when you feel joint pain, when the recovery isn't as fast as otherwise it could be, and the frequent injuries happen. Does that sound anything like any of you? Put a one in the chat if you feel identified with at least one of those. Any one of those.
Yeah, I do with the cravings and sugar, and then I start eating, and then it's hard to stop eating.
Exactly.
What happens? Question: what happens if you don't eat the whole day and you just have a very good dinner?
If you don't eat the whole day, what you're doing, well, it's basically what you're doing is limiting the time frame in which you can eat. Your body, of course, adapts as you go along, but on the first days of adaptation, your cortisol is definitely going to be off. Your energy is going to be off, but then the body adapts. But again, this is something that only works for a small percentage of people. If you do it at and it works for you, well, that's great. But be aware that you're not part of the great majority of the population
Yeah, yeah,
who just
say
cannot
it's
deal with something like
sure,
that.
for sure. I think it takes some type of person to hold that on long periods of times. Because I tried, I can do it. I can do it if I force myself. I can do it. But like no
Do
longer
you
than
know?
3 weeks.
Do you know what you just
Hard to
said? You
enjoy.
just said force yourself. Yeah, exactly. You just said force yourself. It doesn't happen naturally. You don't feel inclined to do it.
I have a question. I don't know if this is gonna talk during the call, but what do you do when you want the snack and you're like you have cookies and you have like, is there a substitute for this, or is better just to retain ourselves to just restrain ourselves to eating?
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the smart execution for this specifically. Well, you indulging yourself in the cookies won't solve it because you will eat the pack of cookies and then you will want more and more and more and more. So ideally, what you do to mitigate that situation is that, well, you take them as a dessert again to mitigate damage. Or what you do is you actually, before you get the craving, you prepare for it, eating more fruit. Usually, us humans, we have thousands of years that we've lived just craving honey and fruit. That's it. The food industry is the one that has taken advantage of those biological needs and give us all this ultra processed garbage. And you know what? All those sugars, all those ultra processed sugars are more addictive than fucking cocaine. So yeah, those cookies are more addictive than you were snoring cocaine.
I
Literally.
agree. I agree. I agree. I think this is true. I think the food, the fake food, is more addictive than cocaine. I can confirm.
Nice. All right. Well, this encompasses a little bit of the recognition of what happens when stress, the chronic stress profile. Now, for the next one, which why stress makes you fat? If you want to dig a little bit into that, that's because the survival mechanism works against you. Why? Number one, you have the stressor. You have work, debt, family, screens, all these stresses that you out. Number two, you have cortisol. It rises to give you what? Emergency energy. You need that. It's a biological need. What happens when you get that spike? The blood glucose, the liver releases glucose into the bloodstream, so that rises as well. The high insulin, what happens with the high insulin? It rises to handle that excess of glucose. You need to lower it down so it rises too. And what ends up happening? The belly fat. So whatever isn't used gets stored as fat right there. The problem isn't exactly what you guys eat. It's you can eat perfectly and still accumulate belly fat if your cortisol never comes down, of course. Now, this explains why a caloric deficit might not be the only solution for a lot of people, or for executives or engineers or tech people with chronic stress. So, what can we do? Because we've seen all theory. Now, how can we execute on this? Well, to give you guys a little bit more of the data that nobody tells you, high cortisol lowers your testosterone. As a man, the single most important hormone that you should keep in check is your testosterone. Because what happens when your cortisol rises at least 40%, which is not a lot, to be honest with you, this is Professionals working 55 plus hours per week, what happens is your testosterone gets reduced 15 to 25% in men with untreated stress for 6 months plus. Again, this is something that accumulates with time. So, that low testosterone, what does it mean? More belly fat that never goes off, despite you trying in the gym hard, eating good, eating right, feeling like you're making the effort to eat right. But what happens? The belly doesn't budge. You still have the belly fat. You have less muscle. You have lower libido. You have less mental clarity. You're having this brain fog. And it's not the age. It's not, oh, I'm 30, oh, I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60. It's cortisol. Now, lowering the cortisol without quitting your job, because we definitely don't want to go to this retirement, and be a yogini and be live in the manifesting section and just be poor out in the roads. Or at least most wouldn't want that. So the levers that move the needle the most for you guys. Strength training, as you guys are doing. Hector, great. Israel, great. Strength training is basic, 3 to 4 sessions per week. That lowers cortisol long term and also raises your testosterone, not daily hit. The high intensity training that they tell you, oh, just do a 50-minute hit, super intense? That fucking spikes your cortisol stratospherically to the moon. The proteins and the healthy fats. Without enough protein, the cortisol doesn't break down muscle for energy, because that's what happens. The minimum is at least 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, but you can honestly do it at 1.5 per kilogram. So let's say you weight 80 kilograms. With at least 120 grams of protein a day, you'll be good to go. Now, zone 2 cardio. What's zone 2 cardio? That's low intensity cardio. You do 30 minutes walking, any type of cardio that you can do while speaking with somebody. That's the ideal one to activate your parasympathetic system, the direct antidote to cortisol. And that's the one that consumes the most fat, by the way. You going out and swimming like crazy, running like crazy, that doesn't burn fat. That burns glycogen reserves and that depletes your muscle. Just so you guys know. Of course, it burns calories, and in the end, it's calories in, calories out. But if you want to directly trigger the fat burn process, you gotta just walk, chill. The real work boundaries now. This is very important. Training can
Question,
compensate for 65. Go ahead, Carlos.
quest 30 minutes of walking, does that mean 10,000 steps, or what does 30 minute mean?
30 minutes walking means whatever it is you can walk in 30 minutes. The 10,000 step mark is some nice number that people have put and idealized at times. You need to do, 10,000 steps, 10,000 steps. But it really isn't 10,000. It's more about 7,000 or something. But you don't need to do it day one. You can start with something. Starting with something, at least something, is the biggest part. Starting, in fact, just do 1,000 steps. Start with 1,000 steps. Then do thousand, 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 thousand. Next week, 1,500, 1,500, 1,500, 1,500, and so on. But here's the thing, too. Those two, you got to have
Small
real
goals.
work boundaries. Go ahead, Israel.
Small goals. Start with the small
Small
goals.
goals.
That's what I did
Exactly.
this month. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I'm telling Hector, 3 sessions per week, more than enough, bro. You don't need to push yourself to five. There's a lot of people that start January 1 wanting to go 5 times to the gym per week. And guess what happens on February? They're nowhere to be fucking seen. Now, as I'm mentioning, the real work boundaries, when you guys are working, training isn't going to compensate for 65 hours of weekly stress. Managing your load is part of the protocol. I'm not talking about work life balance because that's total bullshit, but that's you having a disconnection session. Whenever you're done with work and you got to sleep, you got to completely take the plug off and literally clear your mind. How? Well, you can read, you can listen to some relaxing music, you can be with your girl and do this skibidi yagara to clone Kai, or whatever name you want to put. So yeah, basically that's what you got to do. Now, the antidote, the practical action for that, your anti cortisol protocol for this week. Today, what are you guys going to do today to lower down your cortisol and get all the benefits? Set a hard stop time. Pick a time after which you stop responding your work messages. Start with maybe 9 p.m., maybe 10 p.m., 11 p.m. I don't know. You adapt it to your specific case. Block it in your calendar as a non negotiable. 3 times this week, 20 to 30-minute walks after work. No headphones, no podcasts, just walk. That activates the parasympathetic systems and lowers cortisol more than any supplement that you can do. Ashwagandha is one, which is famous for lowering cortisol, but walking is 1,000 times better than fucking buying a supplement that does 10% of that. Now, every meal, at least one palm, and this is the palm of protein: chicken, eggs, tuna, beef, legumes. Protein is the macronutrient that protects muscle from your cortisol. Before bed, what are you guys going to do now? 5 minutes of 4-7-8 breathing. What is that specifically? You inhale 4 seconds. So 4 seconds, you hold seven, and you exhale during 8 seconds. Breath work is one of the single handedly best manual triggers for you to control your nervous system. So, you guys know that drops nighttime cortisol in minutes, and the recovery starts so that you can recover yourself from the whole day before even your eyes get closed. And now, this week, identify your biggest source of stress. Identify it, literally, put it a name, write it down. Don't try to solve it immediately. Do not try to solve it immediately. Name it. Just give it a name. The first step is always knowing where the load comes from. What is the problem? And then you will progressively, with small habits, small adjustments, adjust day by day and take it by the day. All this will help you guys perform better and waver out solutions for the current problems that everyone is having right now. ACI is gonna take me, the ACI is gonna replace me, whatever, leave it. Yeah, sure, that is there, that is present. I get it. We are also aware of that. But don't let that have you holding that thought for 24 fucking hours.
That's good,
So,
man.
to end with this, that unmanaged stress is the number one obstacle for your body and your performance. So, it's not discipline, you guys. You're missing. It's a system that lowers cortisol while you maintain your pace of life.